Divorce is a growing epidemic in which many turn their backs to and ignore the implications on which it has on our citizens in our society today. The graph to your left clearly demonstrates this growing epidemic in which 51% in 1998 of divorces per 100 marriages were recorded. And to your right, this graph demonstrates and supports this by showing that over 1 million children per year were affected by these divorced parents. Good morning. My name is Luisa G, and today I will be addressing the question, to what extent does parents getting a divorce affect the lives of American adolescents in regards to their health, family structure, and wealth? It is proven that children whose parents are divorced are increasingly the victims of neglect, abuse, behavioral and emotional problems, and crime and drug abuse. Emotional effects of parents' divorce can negatively long-term affect a child and turn their life completely around. According to the article on divorce effects on individual behavior and longevity, men who have experienced parental divorce are more likely to have their own marriages end in divorce, obtain less education, and engage in fewer activities. And women who experience parental divorce smoke more and were more likely to divorce as well, both of which predicted higher mortality rates. Many believe that parental divorce causes a child to act out, in which some cases lead to criminal juvenile actions. This can be shown by this graph indicated by the red rectangle, whereas the rates for children of divorced parents are 12 times higher of children in parents in two-parent families. As said, in a world without work, people might spend more time caring for their families and neighbors in which they feel pride. This is not true for divorced parents, where divorced parents have an increased amount in having full-time jobs, and their teenage children are more likely to have premarital sex and multiple partners when older. This can be shown by the blue rectangle in this graph showing that single parents without being married. In 1995, a survey was conducted where they found that 64% of two-parent families had children, shown here, and only 34% had one-parent families. This number steadily increases because of changes in gender roles. This can be shown with this graph, where the female-headed houses were nearly 25% in comparison to male-headed households, which were 5%. This can be explained by the decreased gap in gender role wages. Women have increased their economic independence, therefore decreasing the incentive of getting married. Although, because of this rising trend, many have deemed it okay because of this stability. This increases the amount of single mothers raising their children by themselves, which can be shown by this graph. This implication negatively affects children by showing that nearly 30% of fatherless families include high school dropouts, in comparison to only half that when there are married couple families. Other studies have found that at the age of 22, children of divorced parents experience more frequent loss of jobs, conflict with their bosses, and more separation and divorce. It is said by the effects of divorce in America that marital instability of one generation is passed on to the next. Some studies have found that the risk of divorce among children of divorced families to be more than twice as high as children with instinct families. Divorce not only diminishes academic achievement, which leads to lower earnings as an adult, but it also decreases household income. With this ongoing cycle, a trend of poverty occurs. As you can see with the graph, this yellow bar indicates that the children living in poverty by family structure were 32% as divorced or single parents, in comparison to 7% with first marriage families. A solution to all these divorces would be getting rid of a no-fault law. As you can see with this map, all the states in America have a no-fault ground, either only that or other grounds as well. A no-fault divorce refers to a type of divorce in which the spouse is, when filing for a divorce, doesn't need to show any proof of a fault of the other spouse. This was a response to the expense and demands of increasing divorce rate in which has placed the national judicial systems. Though, with this law in place, divorce actually increased and doubled its size. The second solution would be cohabitation. Cohabitation has already been naturally a growing community because, as you can see with the yellow bar graphs, that the percentage of divorced parent adults are more likely to use this cohabitation solution. I agree with this solution most because it is already showing results. And marriage is just a title. Without it, I believe that my parents would still be together. Any questions?
Sorry about the coffee. Yeah, 2 questions. Was there any evidence that you gathered that you didn't use?
Yes, actually, I gathered many evidence with deferring races, but because of time restraints, I wasn't able to use it. So I mainly focused on the American population instead.
You, different ethnicities and
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
all right. Just making sure I understand. And then next question. If someone was going to do a presentation on the effect of divorce on families and such, what advice would you have for them?
I would have the advice to not use biased information because a lot of the sources that I found had biased information because it would be articles that people wrote because they were either unhappy with their life or, affected by these divorces. So I would say to make sure that there is no bias in your information and that you find information that basically shows the real statistics of divorce.
All right, cool. Thank you.